The sun hung high in the sky, casting shimmering waves of heat over the vast, barren desert. This land stretched endlessly in all directions, with rolling dunes of golden sand that seemed to dance like waves in the ocean. Brightly colored wildflowers peeked from cracks in the earth, adding bursts of color against the stark backdrop. Despite its beauty, the desert was also a treacherous place where danger lurked at every turn. Sandstorms could whip up without warning, blinding travelers and turning the day into a frantic quest for shelter. The scorching heat during the day could sap even the strongest person's strength, while chilly nights brought a different kind of discomfort. Scattered rocks and cacti stood like silent sentinels, guarding secrets buried deep within the landscape. In this unforgiving environment, survival was no easy task. Yet, it was also a land where legends were born, stories of brave souls who faced incredible odds. As whispers of a hidden treasure echoed through dusty towns, they drew not only adventurers but also those with darker intentions, setting the stage for a gripping tale of bravery and betrayal. Among the harsh sands of the desert roamed a remarkable figure known as the Desert Ranger. Tall and rugged, he moved with agility and purpose, his wide-brimmed hat casting a shadow over his keen eyes. The ranger was not just a protector of the land but also a skilled tracker and survivalist, using his deep knowledge of the desert's secrets to aid those in need. With a heart full of courage and a sense of justice, he often stood against those who exploited the vulnerable. Then there was the Shackled Surveyor, a man named Elias, captured by the ruthless barons while mapping an area rumored to hold hidden treasures. Elias was known for his sharp mind and expert skills, capable of drawing detailed maps that revealed the best routes through the desert. But now, with rough chains binding him and danger looming nearby, he was at the mercy of the barons' cruel intentions. As fate would have it, their paths were destined to cross. The Desert Ranger's mission to protect the innocent pulled him toward Elias's plight, setting off a chain of events that would test their bravery and ingenuity. Elias, the skilled surveyor, had ventured far into the heart of the desert, armed with nothing but his maps and determination. He'd heard whispers of a hidden treasure buried beneath the sands, a discovery that could change his life forever. As he carefully marked his findings, tracing routes and landmarks with precision, little did he know that danger was closer than he thought. Unbeknownst to him, the ruthless barons had been watching. They were always on the lookout for any potential threats to their greedy ambitions. Spotting Elias as he plotted the treasure's location, they devised a sneaky plan to capture him before he could reveal what he knew. Under the cover of dusk, they surrounded him, their horses kicking up clouds of dust in the fading light. Elias fought bravely, but the barons were too many and too strong. They quickly overpowered him, shackling his wrists and dragging him away from the very treasure he sought. With sinister intentions, they planned to bury him alive with the treasure's secret unless someone intervened. The barons gathered under the cover of night, their faces illuminated only by the flickering light of a campfire. They knew that Elias, the surveyor, held crucial knowledge about the treasure buried beneath the sands. To them, he was a threat that needed to be silenced. As they plotted their next move, a sinister plan began to take shape. Using dynamite, the barons aimed to bury both Elias and any evidence of their crime deep in the earth. They believed that with one powerful explosion, they could erase all traces of their ruthless capture and keep the treasure all to themselves. The barons laughed as they discussed how easy it would be to set up a line of dynamite around the cave where they had taken Elias, ensuring there would be no chance of escape. As dawn approached, they confidently prepared for their twisted scheme. With each stick of dynamite placed carefully in position, they felt invincible, convinced that no one would ever discover what had happened. Little did they know that just outside their camp, a hero was on his way to thwart their deadly plan and save the trapped surveyor. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the Desert Ranger patrolled his familiar territory. The winds carried whispers of a grim fate, a tale from a wandering traveler about a surveyor captured by the barons. The word struck a chord in the ranger's heart, igniting his fierce sense of justice. Eager to learn more, he approached the traveler who spoke of Elias's plight. With a deep frown and furrowed brow, the ranger listened intently as details of the baron's wicked plan unfolded. Hearing that they had shackled Elias and intended to bury him alive with dynamite sent shivers down his spine. Time was running out, and the rescue couldn't wait. His mind raced with thoughts of how brave Elias must have been to seek treasure in such dangerous lands and how helpless he must feel now, trapped by those greedy men. The Desert Ranger felt an unwavering pull to save him. Driven by courage and compassion, he resolved to confront the barons and orchestrate a daring rescue before it was too late, knowing that every second counted in this race against time. With determination burning in his heart, the Desert Ranger set to work on his daring rescue mission. He knew he had to act quickly to save Elias from the barons before it was too late. First, he gathered essential equipment, a sturdy rope, his trusty knife, and a few smoke bombs, tools that would help him outsmart the barons. As night fell and the stars glittered overhead, the ranger moved quietly across the desert, following the tracks he had studied earlier. He recalled the traveler's description of the barons' camp and visualized where they kept Elias hidden. His mind raced with strategies, and he decided to create a diversion using the smoke bombs. Once close enough to the camp, he would toss a smoke bomb away from Elias's location, creating chaos among the barons. In that confusion, he hoped to slip into the cave where Elias was held captive. His heart pounded as he considered every detail of his plan, knowing that one wrong move could cost them both their lives. With everything ready, he took a deep breath and prepared to make his move, trusting in his skills and courage. As the Desert Ranger moved deeper into the desert, the terrain grew increasingly treacherous. The heat of the day bore down on him like a heavy blanket, sapping his energy with every step. He pressed forward, knowing that each moment wasted could be the difference between life and death for Elias. Suddenly, a howling sandstorm swept across the landscape, turning the sky an angry shade of brown. The ranger shielded his eyes and lowered himself close to the ground, trying to navigate through the swirling sands. Visibility dropped to almost nothing as grains of sand whipped around him, stinging his skin. He focused on his instincts, recalling the layout of the land he had memorized. As the storm passed, he found himself climbing steep dunes and navigating rocky outcrops that threatened to trip him at every turn. Despite these challenges, his determination only grew stronger. The thought of Elias trapped in a dark cave spurred him on, reminding him that he had to overcome these obstacles to save a life and bring justice to the Baron's cruel actions. Finally, the Desert Ranger approached the Baron's camp, his heart pounding with anticipation. The flickering light of the campfire illuminated the faces of the barons as they reveled in their wicked plans. He could hear their cruel laughter echoing through the night, and anger surged within him. With a deep breath, he stepped out from behind the shadows and into view. "Your evil reign ends here," he declared, his voice steady and strong. The barons froze, their expressions shifting from surprise to indignation as they realized they had been interrupted. "What do you think you can do, Ranger?" one of them sneered, brandishing a knife as he stepped forward. "You're outnumbered." The ranger remained unfazed. "I won't let you bury an innocent man alive," he replied, locking eyes with each baron. The tension in the air crackled like static electricity as both sides prepared for what was about to unfold. With quick glances at the ropes of dynamite stacked nearby, he knew he had to act fast. The lives of both Elias and himself depended on his next moves. This confrontation would change everything. Thinking quickly, the Desert Ranger knew he needed a clever distraction to turn the odds in his favor. As the barons sneered at him, he subtly reached for one of the smoke bombs tucked away in his gear. With a swift motion, he tossed it into the air behind them. The smoke bomb exploded, releasing a thick cloud of swirling vapor that filled the camp with confusion and obscured the barons' vision. Shouts of surprise erupted as they stumbled back, disoriented by the sudden chaos. Using this moment to his advantage, the ranger dashed toward Elias's location, knowing that time was running out. The sound of clattering pots and panicked voices echoed through the camp as the barons attempted to regain their composure. The ranger made it to the cave just in time to find Elias shackled on the ground, fear in his eyes but hope ignited by the ranger's arrival. He quickly set to work on freeing him from the chains holding him captive while keeping an ear on the unfolding commotion outside. They had a narrow window to escape before the barons could regroup and pursue them. As the ranger fumbled with the last shackle, he could hear the distant shouts of the barons as they tried to regain control. Panic surged inside him, time was slipping away like sand through his fingers. "Elias, we need to move now," he urged, urgency lacing his voice. Elias nodded, fear and determination reflecting in his eyes as he stood up, finally free yet still vulnerable. Together, they made their way toward the cave's entrance, but their escape was hindered by the ongoing countdown echoing in their minds, 10 minutes until the dynamite would detonate. Every second felt heavy as they raced against that clock. The ranger led Elias through narrow paths and steep embankments, staying alert for any sign of the barons returning. A sense of dread loomed over them. If they didn't escape soon, the blast would bury them both beneath countless tons of sand and rubble. Flashes of light began to flicker from behind as the barons regrouped, igniting cries of anger and confusion. With their fate hanging by a thread, they pushed forward harder than ever, desperate to reach safety before it was too late. As they dashed away from the barons, the desert ranger and Elias moved with urgency through the darkened desert, their breaths heavy and hearts racing. The sound of angry shouts echoed behind them, mixing with the crunch of boots on sand as the barons pursued them relentlessly. With each step, the countdown to detonation loomed in their minds, urging them to push harder. The ranger took the lead, using his knowledge of the terrain to navigate through tricky pathways and hidden crevices in the dunes. "Follow me," he called back to Elias, who struggled to keep pace but was fueled by adrenaline. They ducked behind large boulders and weaved through clusters of cacti, desperate to evade their captors. Suddenly, a flash of light illuminated the night sky. The barons had lit torches to aid in their chase. The ranger spotted an old abandoned mine shaft ahead. "In there," he shouted, urging Elias toward safety. They dove inside just as the first explosion rocked the ground outside, sending sand flying into the air. The ranger knew they had bought themselves precious seconds, but their escape was far from over. Danger still lurked outside as they prepared for what lay ahead. As they took a moment to catch their breath in the dimly lit mine shaft, a sense of relief washed over the ranger and Elias. The adrenaline from their escape was still coursing through their veins, but now they were safe from immediate danger. In that moment of quiet, they exchanged glances filled with gratitude and respect. "You saved my life," Elias said, his voice steady despite the trembling fear lingering in his heart. "I can't thank you enough." The ranger nodded, aware that it had been a team effort. Without Elias's determination to survive and his own quick thinking, both of them might have faced a grim fate. Their perilous journey had forged an unbreakable bond between them. They shared stories of their lives, visions for the future, and laughter that echoed off the cave walls, easing the tension from their harrowing escape. Each man recognized the other's strength. Elias admired the ranger's bravery and skill, while the ranger valued Elias's intelligence and tenacity. In those fleeting moments, they knew they would not only survive this ordeal together but also emerge as lifelong friends ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead in the vast desert. Emerging from the mine shaft, the desert ranger and Elias knew their ordeal was far from over. They decided to act swiftly, using their wits to gather evidence against the barons. With a plan in mind, they returned to the barons' camp under the cover of darkness. The chaos caused by their earlier escape had left behind valuable clues, discarded maps and plans that proved the barons' intent to bury innocent lives. Working quietly, the ranger and Elias collected what they could and headed to the nearby town where allies awaited. They shared their harrowing story with community leaders, rallying support to confront the barons. Soon, a group armed with pitchforks and torches formed, fueled by anger and a thirst for justice. The following day, they confronted the barons at their camp. The townspeople, incensed by tales of treachery, overwhelmed the barons with sheer numbers. With their plans unraveled and no way to escape, the barons found themselves captured. Justice was served that day. Their evil reign came to an end as they were held accountable for their crimes, restoring peace and safety to the desert community once more. With the barons defeated and justice served, the desert ranger and Elias stood at the edge of the vast desert, gazing at the endless horizon before them. The warmth of the sun marked a new beginning, filled with hope and promise. They had faced unimaginable dangers together, forging a bond that would carry them through future adventures. Elias, now free to explore the beauty of the desert, felt grateful for the ranger's bravery and skill. "What's next for us?" he asked, excitement twinkling in his eyes. The ranger smiled, sensing a newfound purpose in their partnership. "There are still treasures to find and threats to face. Together, we can protect this land." As they embarked on their next journey, each step carried the weight of their shared experiences, courage, trust, and resilience. They traversed rolling dunes and rocky outcrops, ready to confront whatever challenges lay ahead. With determination in their hearts and friendship as their foundation, they knew that together, there was no obstacle they couldn't overcome in the beautiful yet perilous landscape of the desert.